Okay, guys, we are going to have some quick fire questions for Jardier. He's joined us for the main Talking Sims recording, and I thought I'd just do some spin-off community questions because, well, I put this question out on Twitter and on the Discord earlier, and there were dozens of them, so I've tried to round them all up, and we're going to get Jardier to answer them as quickly as possible because, honestly, this could go on for hours otherwise. So let's keep things really quick to start with. Zero Bandwidth, who is a YouTube content creator himself and a really big contributor to our communities, asked 3 questions, so I've let him get away with that. First of all is, do you think you'd want to resume real-world racing someday, or has your success in sim racing replaced it for you?
I want to continue real racing and doing sim racing as well.
There you go. Oh, I love it. Short questions, right? In fact, I'm even going to keep it on the double screen because otherwise it's going to be crazy. Right. So, what's the best simulation of a car that you've actually raced in reality? What do you think is the best sim version?
You mean like a rig or?
Yeah, I think he's asking what's the most accurate car in a racing sim that you've also driven in real life.
Oh, okay. Well, it's hard to say. It was when I was racing in Air Factor 1. That was a BMW mod, basically, which was created with our help, and that was probably like really, really, really interesting, very, very good. But in the terms of like experience or like feeling, it was I was testing. It was like 80,000 euros worth of motion simulator,
wow,
which was on iRacing. Yeah. But if I don't talk about the physics or anything, with the behavior of the motion rig, trying to force the G-forces and everything, that was probably the closest I was to real racing car experience.
Cool, man. Another content creator, I don't know if you've heard of him, a guy called Random Call Sign, whoever he is.
No,
he says, how do you condition your wig?
Which one? Do you mean my Jimmy one or the one I have on my head right now?
I don't know. I'm assuming it meant something to you. I think he was just having a bit of a cruel joke at your expense there, perhaps.
Yeah, no. He hates me, because I'm like, my hair looks like I'm getting bald, but my hair looks like this all my life, So it's always looking like getting bald.
It's going upwards. That's fine. Up is good. I mean, my hair's quite tall too, so we can share that. I asked you this on the mainstream, and I expect your answer is going to be the same, but THR Flip Mode asks, if you could ram anyone at turn 1 and get away with it, that's the important bit, who would it be?
Talking.
Yeah. And as you said in the main video, he knows why. Next Gen Gaming says, how do you concentrate on racing so much while you're talking, laughing, smiling, interacting with chat? He says, every time I breathe, I crash.
Well, I have no clue how to answer this question. I just, I think it comes with the years of experience, maybe. I was like that all the time. I was actually, I can remember, or my friend could tell you, when I was racing, for example, in 2003, I was actually driving on a straight finish line. And every time I was passing like the pit box, I was like waving and showing the thumbs up, and they never know what's going on, So they always were like, oh my God, he has an issue or something because he's waving with his hands and such, So I feel like it just, I don't know. I like it. I like it that way, I feel like I cannot multitask at all. But when I'm sim racing or driving or stuff like that, I can just do all the stuff together, and it just comes naturally. And I don't know, maybe it's just experience or something like that.
I think we touched on it a bit earlier. Maybe it's just having, with the experience comes a little bit of spare mental capacity. So,
yeah,
as you said earlier, you can think about, the book that you're reading or, what you're going to have for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So basically what I'm doing, I'm talking with my chat at the same time I'm driving or fighting with someone, and at the same time I'm thinking about the next chapter of my book I'm reading and I'm thinking what we're going to have for dinner and answering the question in the chat. That's just how it is, because I feel like my hands and legs, they're doing everything automatically, at that point.
Okay, I mean, that was a borderline serious question, which is a bit upsetting. So let's move on. Someone called Matt, who I assume is a fan of yours, just says, ask him to say hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus.
Okay, I see why now.
Hippopotamus.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I think he was just trying to be a bit mean there. I don't know. Again, ask this one on the mainstream as well. What's the biggest sim racing accident that's been caused by a certain unspecified four-legged creature? Sorry, not sorry. I had to go for the dog question, but she's the real star of the show. That was by Leah Herven.
Okay, as said in a Dirt Rally 2.0, my dog just came to give me a big hug and French kiss, and at the same time, I just hit the tree in like 150 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, you might have some spare mental capacity to think about a book, but a 40-kilo dog or whatever launching herself at you doesn't work.
Basically, the main reason was I couldn't steer because she was like in a way, so I couldn't steer, and I didn't want to hurt her, so rather I just hit the tree. To kill us both,
No amount of pace notes from the co-driver can help you there, can they? AG asks, let's move on before we just end up talking about the dog the whole time again, which I promised myself I wouldn't do. AG asks, what's more important, wheel or pedals?
Pedals.
Yeah, you probably still need a wheel though, just to be clear.
Oh, definitely
really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like probably what people think is like that equipment makes them faster. I feel like from I would say years of experience, I can tell you that you can win the world championship on 10 years, 15 years old wheel. The only difference I would say is maybe it can improve your consistency because you will get better feedback. And especially in the games like ACC, probably you get a better feedback for graining and destroying the tires. And of course, the pedals are probably the most important because of the load cell. When you have a load cell, especially in iRacing, is just basically the better and better.
It's interesting because I think people just generally all agree on this now. This is like most sim racers sort of have that opinion. That's certainly exactly what I've been saying for years. And every time I've upgraded something, I've always been keen to say, you know what, it feels better, the immersion's better, I'm enjoying it more. Yeah. But, my lap times aren't any better. When I went over to direct drive, I thought maybe I was getting a bit more consistent. Because sometimes you can feel some of those little things in there that you couldn't feel before. It doesn't necessarily help you go quicker, but it might mean that maybe I wouldn't have slightly understeered there or something. Maybe that helps. But it's interesting that these questions keep coming up. But everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet. Jimmy says the same thing. Gamer Muscle says the same thing. You're saying the same thing now. I say the same thing. So it's kind of I couldn't think of anyone else there. So that's the list. They're all the people. Right, let's move on. Where did I get to? What's more important, wheel or pedals? Yeah, Dean Hummerston says, and I think I paraphrased this, who are you?
Oh. I'm a little slow guy who's trying to do videos.
Perfect. Okay, Phil Baldwin, how do you stay so positive no matter how bad the result?
Yeah, as said in the mainstream, just I just feel like it's important to separate the things like this, that sim racing and the real life and everything like that. That just to keep motivated you. Like don't get pissed when somebody crashes you. Don't get pissed when something bad happens, because I think what happens in a game is just a game, and the rest is history. It's not important what's happening in real life. It's more important. So I think in my life, like several bad things happen, and I think the things that are happening in a sim racing can piss me, but I think there's like a level, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to maintain that sort of Lego man, always smiling Lego minifigure approach to life. I think we'd all like that.
The wellness, the fitness models or something, they were working out there like all the time, like whatever they do.
Yeah, I'll stick with Lego men. We don't get the channel demonetized.
It sounds better, right?
So Wheaty asks, I've just read the question. How do you feel about being an objectively worse sim racer than Chris Haye based on facts?
Really?
They're getting territorial, aren't they? I don't think
it's actually like we haven't met with Chris many times on the track, so I don't even know that answer to the question. I remember he blocked my way in a Wreckfest, and he got what he deserved.
I have a slightly different perspective on that. I think there's a question on here from Chris Haye, age 34, from Surrey in the UK. It says, "Why do you take Wreckfest so seriously?"
I swear I wasn't trying. I wasn't trying at all. Especially after the race when I got crashed like 4 times before the first corner. I didn't try hard, and then I still won. So I was
we all started ganging up on you after you started winning.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Thomas Fredson, is your speed and talent available to buy somewhere online?
Yes.
Cool. But don't give them the URL because I want to get there first. Jamie, who is a content creator as well, said, has your real world racing background helped you out in the sim world?
I would say it was basically the same because, of course, I was doing like the first games that were available, like Grand Prix 2 and Test Drive, and those games I was playing like since I was a little kid. But when I got, actually, I started real racing in real life. I started in 2001, and in 2004, I basically started racing in multiplayer online. So before that, I was doing with my father. We have been playing Toka Race Driver on a split screen, and he was trying to teach me the situations that can happen on a real racetrack, like overtaking, defending, and such. And so it actually really helped, of course. And then in 2004, I started real like with proper sim racing. I started with when I got a wheel and everything. It was an online, of course. I was with the Life Force Speed. And yeah, I think it improved a lot. I wish, like, because I stopped racing in real life in 2006, I wish I could go back with the experience I have now, because I can tell that thanks to the sim racing, I'm a way better driver than I was back in the day. Because yeah, I can honestly say, I think I can't say everyone, but I think decent sim racers are very good drivers. So they know just mentality, they know how to brake, they know how to drive, they know how to behave with the car, and I would say it very helps.
Cool, yeah, no, that was a really thorough answer. I wish you'd said that. Wish you'd said that on the main video. That was way better. Moving on, Van Krausen asks, which car that's not currently available in sim racing would you love to see make it into a mainstream racing sim? So maybe it doesn't have to be something that's not available in, like, because there's an Assetto Corsa mod for almost everything. But, like, what car would you love to see in, say, iRacing or R Factor 2 that's not there?
GT500?
Yeah.
GT500 class? Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably from all the cars I can just imagine right now, I would say GT500 would be the great one.
Yeah, I usually either go for like some of the 90s JGTC, the Japanese sort of predecessor to that. GT500 is just obvious, and I would always love to see more Group C cars because they're amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're nearly at the end here. So Wheaty says, lots of racing drivers have rituals they do before they get in the car. We talked about this on the mainstream again. But what do you do before a race to prepare?
Yeah, right now I'm not doing anything, basically. I'm just trying to not think about race too much. So I'm like, to avoid being nervous or anything. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I just talk with my friends. I just talk with the chat and think about other stuff and don't think about the race itself, because you can get preparation. You can think about how much you're going to do that and break there and go left and right. But in the end, it's going to make you more and more nervous. So I would say just, think about something else and try like that.
They always say plan never survives first contact with the enemy anyway, don't they? So final question. Thank you for sticking around and doing this quick fire stuff at the end. Jordy asks, what do you think ACC does well, and what do you think it's missing?
Oh my God, that's a serious question. Do we have 3 hours?
Nice small one for the end, yeah.
Oh my God, okay, give me 3 hours so I can answer. I would say what ACC does well is physics. I think before that, I never felt, in any racing game before, I never felt actual weight and transfer of the car in the force feedback and in the car itself. I think, other games are perfect, great as well. But when you think about it, when you drive a real race car, the first thing what you notice is, of course, like you have a downforce, you have a slick tires, but you have an extreme mass of the car, the weight of the car. And I think some of the games are just missing that. And I think the ACC is doing that absolutely perfect. That you can actually feel the heaviness of the car into the corners and everything, and it's perfect with the tires and such. Sounds are amazing, graphics is amazing. What can improve? Oh God, where's the list? I think the main thing I would focus right now, if I would be ACC developer, I would be to fix all the problems, all the bugs and little things. And I would actually, I think big things will change, or the things will change when ACC will release the GT4 cars this summer, if it's going to actually happen in the summer, I hope, because we haven't seen any pictures or anything yet.
I know, so, they've been really good at keeping that under wraps. I'm hoping...
it's making me nervous, actually.
I'm really hoping that they'll let me preview it like they have before. Because I'm getting anxious. I really like GT4 as a class. Like some of the cars are totally mad, like the KTM Crossbow GT4. The Camaro is... have you ever heard that in real life? That thing just sounds amazing. So do the BMWs actually. Is it the M2 or is it the
M4?
It's the M4, isn't it? In the GT4 M4 just sounds incredible. Like better than half the GT3 field. So there's some really great fun cars in there that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
And we've gone massively off topic. So I'm going to wrap the video up and say thank you so much for joining me for the questions, Jardier. And if you want to check out the full interview, then it's up wherever you can find podcasts and up on the main channel. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you very much.